Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships for our Saturday Upgrade Commander build video on the Montana, the classic OG of World of Warships, the Tier 10 American battleship. And yesterday, I had a video uploaded, live commentary, and what a phenomenal battle we had. I haven't touched the ship, probably playing it in a year or two, maybe more. Just because a long time I was grinding lots of other ships, and I've grinded most ships in the game, and now I'm kind of going back, revisiting some favorites. But Montana was a ship I wanted to revisit because I did an upgrade commander build video back in 2021 in March, and game has moved on. Even some of the skills have changed, I believe, since then. And I felt it was Montana owed it for me to do an upgraded version, a newer version of the upgraded commander build video. So that's what we're here today. So please use the timestamps along the bottom of the video if there's anything particularly relevant you want to see. And of course, the really great battle we had yesterday, we did over 240,000 damage, I think, will be at the end of the video. You can go watch it, check it out, see this build in action, as it were. So, first off, let's talk about what kind of battleship Montana is as we get into her armor scheme, upgrades, modules, combat signals, and of course the commander. Montana is a mid to long-range battleship. Mid-range I usually define at the high tier in World of Warships is 12 to 15 kilometers. Fits somewhere around that 14-kilometer concealment. She's a battleship that's not meant for brawling. If you get a Montana up on you, her 12-4-6s will punish you in a somewhat okay-ish secondary battery, but that's not where she thrives. She thrives in that mid-range of 12 and higher, and she can easily pull off 15, 20 plus kilometer shots that will leave devastation in her wake if she catches you outright broadside and punishes you with these 406s. So that's the playstyle of Montana. Usually, like the start of the battle, you're kind of chilling out the mid to long range. As the battle goes on, as there's less enemies, then you can go more into that 12 to 15 kilometer and play around that 14 conceal even, as it were. So her armor layout, it's a 32 millimeter on the bow and on the stern, including the deck on the bow and stern, which evolves into this 38 millimeter deck plating on the midsection of the ship, and then this armor belt dropping into 409, 409, 259, and a 32 millimeter side plating for torpedo protection. I don't remember the rating of the torpedo protection. Maybe I can. Oh yeah, it's 37%. It's right here. So I think Yamato is like closer to 50% over 40, I believe. So it still works out decently overall. So if we begin to strip things away, we get down to Montana Citadel. It's actually, how would you phrase that? It looks like it's just at the waterline. I just want to double check. I have a little bit of a migraine right now, so I didn't want to make sure I wasn't seeing things incorrectly. That's a waterline Citadel. So effectively, more long-range salvos is possible. I Citadel'd Montanas with my Alaska at 12 to 15. I think it was 14 or something I did on the Montana once. 14 kilometers with the 305s Alaska has. So battle cruisers can punch through and easily get to that Citadel. There's also this infamous nose Citadel on the Montana. There's this, if I take this away, there's some plating mechanism right here in the bow that's super flat. Which rather than just deflecting, the shell will just then travel down the bow straight into the Citadel. It's actually quite hard to hit, but it's possible. You can aim for it, but it's right in here roughly. Then it just sinks to, goes into Citadel. So it's really annoying to be Citadel bow on in Montana because you do get 32 millimeters, not like a 27 millimeter plating. Your main battery armament is 457. Frontal armor plating to 254. 229 on top, 305 on the back, and the barbettes are 541, so the most strongest than the frontal plating. So really, unless someone catches you out on your sides or the back of the turrets, that's the best way they're going to have a chance of incapacitating your main battery. Even the time, it's been a long time since I played Montana on a regular basis, I found it quite difficult to have my main battery incapacitated. Usually they got the weaker side plating and knocking it out. So yeah, so with that being said, let's go into looking at the ship's modules. So no upgrades here, but we're rocking a 30-second reload time. We're not taking the main battery mod 3, I think it's in the 6th slot for a faster reload time. Rather, we're going for our two-way plotting room that gives us better accuracy, which I'll talk about with the dispersion. Our 180-degree turn time is 32.6. O2 running grease the gears on the commander, and also we're running the main battery mod 2 here for plus 15%. So I like having battleships that have a roughly 30-second 180-degree turn time. There's also seasoned commanders you can run on Montana, including Halsey, a unique commander that have enhanced grease the gears. So you can get that even lower if you want to, if you run that together. Then your maximum HE shell damage is 5,700. Your maximum AP shell damage is 13,500. And I'll talk more about the armament when we get to it. Hull-wise, your 96,300 hit points. I'm going to mount all those, actually. 96,300 hit points, but not so long ago. My last video would be like talking about the Juliet Charlie detonation signal. Now they replace it with Charlie Kilo. So we get a plus 5% buff on the ship hit points, making Montana this glorious 100,000 plus hit points hull. So that plays into Montana's strengths as well. You know, we've got other battleships that are kind of more funky that, you know, maybe that they trade off the hit points for the gimmicks of the boat, or like Montana's like, you get a lot of health. Gunfire control system is 23.7 without running anything to extend out the range like you might in the 6th slot. Honestly, don't really need to, because you also get the spotter plane, which you can switch out for fighter. I'll talk about that, but spotter plane is best. So usually I find the spotter plane helpful, especially in the early part of the game. Maybe there's a carrier in the back and you want to snipe him, or you're just trying to see over islands. Like we were trying to get a really accurate salvo on enemy Siegfried, and we slapped him pretty hard. And then propulsion is 172,000 horsepower, 30 knots. You have Sierra Mike, so you can bump it up to 31.5. I like running Sierra Mike because, as I said, Montana, she's aged like fine wine in one aspect, but there are a lot of other battleships that are beginning to kind of make Montana maybe not as appealing to play to a certain extent because of a lot of these other battleships just get more gimmicks. They get torpedoes, they get battleship with cruiser guns, battle cruiser guns, experimental futures, funny buttons. So Montana doesn't get that, right, because she was introduced early on. But my point being here is there's other battleships that, you know, can push through like the 40 knots. So I like to have a little bit of speed to help me out, so I run Sierra Mike. In terms of her mod upgrades, excuse me, in the past, there's two differences I ran here back in the day, maybe three. I used to run main armaments mod 1, which honestly is pretty good to run here if you want to keep your main battery going, but you saw how much armor the main battery has, so it's actually pretty good. It just reduces the risk of your main battery becoming incapacitated by -20%, improves your main battery survivability by plus 50%, and reduces the repair time if they should become incapacitated. I have favored damage control party mod 1. Your standard action time on your DCP is 20 seconds, and then you can bump it up to 28, I believe it is, with the damage control party mod 1, because it's a plus 40% on the consumable action time. And with one of the perks on our commanders, we get additional, I guess it's a 10%, so it adds another 2.8 seconds effectively, so giving us the 30.8 seconds. And it's kind of needed. As I was talking about in the Friday highlight video, you know, there's so much spam with high explosive, Dutch airstrikes, hybrid ships, submarines. So to have that DCP lasting even longer is much, much more beneficial as a whole, and in my opinion. You could also consider the spotting aircraft mod 1, but honestly, like, you get a lot of range and you don't really want to be playing in the back 24 beyond consistently, because that's not where Montana thrives. She thrives like that mid-range to then going into past 15 kilometers. So as you saw in yesterday's video, like I was playing pretty comfortably and not having to move around a lot. Also, because as I said in the video, we got really favorable matchmaking that game, which isn't all that common. Second slot, we go for Damage Control System Mod 1. We want to reduce the risk of catching fire by -5%, risk of flooding, -3%. Third slot, I used to run Secondary Battery Mod 1 just to help me out with destroyers who might get a little too close and didn't really take the threat of 12-406s very seriously. Since then, I've just favored more main battery build to have a faster main battery traverse speed. You know, if you're not doing donuts, as I talked about in yesterday's video, you know, then you don't probably need the main battery mod 2. You could easily go for maybe secondary battery mod 1, or if you really want to, extend your main battery firing range out with artillery plotting room mod 1 by plus 16%. I really don't think that's needed. You know, this line doesn't get the aiming systems mod 1 because of the this one gives you -11% dispersion, so you'd be stacking -11 on top of -7 if they gave you that. So they took that away. So you get something like artillery plotting room mod 1 in exchange. For me, main battery mod 2, it works great. It works fine. I like being able to swing my guns a little faster on target to get those punishing salvos on enemy ships. Fourth slot, take Damage Control System Mod 2. This just reduces the fire extinguishing time by -15%, flooding recovery time -15%. If I was looking at the WoW shipbuilder right the other day, I believe with the whole build, including these two here, I'll talk about them. We put fires out, or fire duration, full fire duration be 34 seconds. Full flood duration I think is around 21, 23 seconds, something like that. So we're focusing a lot on the survivability and the main survivability of Montana, but also the main battery of Montana. That's really kind of what you're seeing here with the upgrades and how it's going so far. Otherwise, I might consider something like Steering Gears Mod 1 to combat that 22.2 second rudder shift time. It's quite atrocious compared to a lot of the other Tier 10 battleships like Libertad, like... let me just put Tier 10 battleships, because we run it here, you know, 10.9 seconds. Like that's pretty brutal comparison, right? But for us, it's been just fine running it like this, but some might consider it. The fifth slot, we want Consumables System Mod 1. This reduces the ship's detectability range by 10% and by air, and Montana's going to get buffed if they fall through with the air detectability range, and making the max detectability by air 10 kilometers across the board. So any ship that's greater than 10 kilometer by air is going to get buffed out of this. So actually, we're going to get a buff out of Montana, because even with full conceal build, it's 10.5. So we'll get like beneath 9, I'm guessing, or 8 something. So that'll be a nice change when that comes into the game. Otherwise, you have a unique upgrade for Montana. The Reinforced Emergency Response improves the ship's tactical role by increasing survivability and maneuverability. Your fire extinguishing time and flooding recovery time reduced by -10%. You get the buff to the rudder shift that's sorely needed, -30%. And your steering gears repair time if they get knocked out is -70%. So if I click on this, it'll take us into the research bureau. This skill upgrade costs 19,200 research points. I don't think it's like an S tier, or maybe, I don't know if I'd even say it's an A tier unique upgrade. It certainly helps, but the cost of the conceal hurts. I mean, now we have battleships in the game, or we do have battleships in the game, but cruisers in the game that get a 15-kilometer airstrikes. So concealment is, I would say, arguably needed on Montana, but it doesn't mean if you have the research points laying around that you can go for reinforced emergency response. Like, if you're new to the research bureau, you know, there's others like Moskva, Petropavlovsk, Des Moines, probably Yamato. There's some other ones I'd say that should come first, but if you have the excess research bureau points, you could easily try it out. This is only going to buff your survivability, but a lack of concealment. That's the trade-off here. But I don't know how I feel about it because I like the 14 conceal. It's hard for me to think about going higher. So if you have the unique upgrade, share your thoughts in the comments below. I and others would likely be very happy to hear what you would like to share because, you know, I could see this helping out. Again, a lot more fires and flooding happening game with subs and airstrikes. The 6 slot, there's 2 options. I've gone for the artillery plotting room mod 2. So you saw how this upgrade in particular paid out dividends in yesterday's video. Like, we were getting some really nice solid salvos. Again, pairing with the fact we were playing more at the mid-range of the 12 to 15 range. We had a couple of strikes we hit pretty hard, like 16, 17 kilometers out as well. So just to have that additional main battery shell dispersion be reduced by 11%, I'll put it on the right side of the screen to show you what it looks like with this skill versus without. And if you look here, the other skill you might, or upgrade you might consider is the main battery mod 3. Its main battery reload time negative 12%, but you take a nerf and that your main battery traverse speed will go up by negative 13%. So then you're probably looking at something like over maybe around 35 seconds, 36 seconds, 100 AG turn time, I don't know. But with Adrenaline Rush, which we have on our commander, we are able to get the reload time down more quickly. And we also, in the video yesterday's arms race, and I didn't really talk about that, it's kind of more focused on the gameplay, but we also had, I think, some reload buffs, so we were getting a pretty faster reload time. So arms race always helps any ship like shine a bit better in that regard. So but I'd really say Artillery Plotting Room mod 2 is what I would recommend first and foremost. Armament wise, you have 30-second reload time with these 406s. If you don't take the this upgrade we were just talking about for the reload, maximum damage 5,700. Your chances of causing fire on target is 36%, so semi-decent. I think there's some other battleships slightly worse, but I know there's other battleships like, you know, Conqueror, much higher, or St. Vincent, quite atrocious. That's kind of how those ships play. So with these 406 high explosive shells, you pin 68 millimeter, initial velocity 820 meters a second, maximum range 23.7. Armor piercing, you have 13,500 maximum damage. The armor piercing shell is a bit slower than the high explosive shells, 762 meters a second. Not super noticeable unless you're firing at long range comparing the shells to one another. But you have 12 406s, so like you have 12 chances to go 12 times 13,500 if you magically scored a Citadel with every shell. If there was a ship that had that many hit points and whatnot, and every shell magically landed in the Citadel. So it's really devastating. The standard fuse time on this, I'm pretty sure, is the 0.033 seconds, where some other ships get an improved shortened shell fuse time like 0.015. I think Conqueror gets that, I don't remember, but it means that you're, like, basically, if you shoot a broadside Geon or Minotaur, maybe you end up overpinning because your shells didn't fuse in time. But otherwise, it's really devastating as a whole. So, and I primarily fire armor piercing. I don't use high explosive a lot unless I'm being harassed by destroyers or submarines. Your depth charge airstrike is 11 kilometer range. You get 2 available flights, one aircraft in attacking flight, and they drop 2 bombs in the payload, 4,900 damage. Consumable wise, we have a 30.8 second action time on the damage control party. One of the upgrades we have on our, or skills we have on our commander, now I'm flipping it, is 77.6 seconds cooldown time. It's one of the 1-point skills, reducing the cooldown time on the damage control party and the repair party. So that's helping us out. Unlimited number of charges. It's really great to be running the damage control party mod 1 to buff this, what would be a stock 20-second time up to then 28, and then one of the commander skills is helping us to get the 30.8 second threshold. So very favorable. I talked about it. If you go back to timestamp, if you're skipping around. Repair party, HP per second, 667. With India Delta, we can bump that up to 801. So you have, it's a little better than I think a standard repair party, but it's not like not like the improved repair party that, or specialized repair teams like Conqueror or maybe some other ships have. But it's a pretty solid heal. We have a 30.8-second action time, again, owing to the fact of one of the commander skills we're taking, and the cooldown time is 77.6. And we have 5 of these because we're taking one of the skills that, again, gives us an additional heal. Then you have spotting aircraft or fighter. Fighters are pretty worthless overall in World of Warships, particularly I would say for Montana, because they never stop the first strike. Spotting aircraft is really where it's at. It's a moneymaker in terms of enhancing your potency with your main battery of getting these 12-4-4-6s on target. So I do recommend running this. It's a plus 20% to your range, 100-second action time, cooldown time, 240 seconds, so it's like a 4-minute cooldown time, and we get 4 of them. Other combat signals we would take, November Foxtrot reduces the consumable preparation reload time by -5%. So now we have a 73.7 on the DCP and a 73.7 on the repair party and a 228 on the spotting aircraft. So I really like running this skill. Then a Hotel Yankee, damage caused by ramming an enemy, plus 50%. Damage received when ramming an enemy, -20%. And then the November Echo Set 7 to give us a buffed amount of AA damage. So here you can see 90, 440, 1680, 91, 462, 1764. In terms of the commander, as I shared in the Friday highlight, I'm not running a seasoned commander or a unique commander. If we were, you know, like if let's say there'd be pretty good synergy probably with my Wisconsin build to be here on Montana. Like let's say you had Halsey on your Montana, and then you also had him on your Wisconsin if you have a Wisconsin. This build could work. The enhanced skills like you'd get with here would be the main battery shell type switching time, -60%, and then grease the gears, plus 25 versus plus 20. You also get Halsey's talents, like if you get a Confederate, you get a faster main battery reload time, -20% on the main battery reload time, and then torpedoes and aircraft preparation time. Or if you got a double strike, which we were trying to get in yesterday's video, but the Mets got nuked out from under us, it would reduce our detectability range by 10%, which is can be a little more nasty for Montana. It helps with that 14 conceal. Other guys you could run would be John Doe or George Doe. They're seasoned commanders. They have the same enhanced skills as Halsey, just that they don't have any talents. So that's the only thing there. But I have these guys I'm running elsewhere. So with the build here on Montana, let me walk you through it. So we take the emergency repair specialist with damage control party consumable cooldown time, and the repair party consumable cooldown time is -3%. So we get our DCPs back off cooldown faster and our repair parties off cooldown faster. Really needed in the tempo of World of Warships here in 2025 with all the airstrikes, the submarines, the pings, the floods, the torps. Just more now than ever. So I lean more towards this. You know, otherwise I would debate taking Gunfeeder, and that's not a bad decision. But I mean, like Vermont has the same aspect going for her. When you talk about, you know, a DD that goes broadside to you, let's say 8 kilometers away, it's gonna hurt when it eats 12 406s, right? Or like from Vermont's 12 457s. So, you know, I don't really feel the stress of wanting to switch between the main battery of the high explosive armor piercing compared to Conqueror, which I definitely like Gunfeeder on Conqueror. But here on Montana, I'm like, it's American AP. It's great. I love it. Grease the gears, plus 20%. So because we're not taking, you know, main battery mod 3, that would nerf the main battery time, or if we're not taking one of the secondary battery or artillery plotting room, we have good synergy here. So it gives us pretty comfortable 32.6 second, 180 turn time. I really like that. And then for 6-point commander, I would then go for Adrenaline Rush. So as you lose hit points, your main battery will reload even faster, including your airstrike armament reload time, secondary battery reload time, and a buff to your continuous AA damage. Then a 10-point commander, I do fire prevention. Needed. Definitely needed on Montana. I can't stress how important this skill is on Montana. Risk of catching fire -10%, and the maximum number of fires is reduced by 1. So if you're newer to World of Warships and you don't know what fire prevention does, right now, like I think most ships in the game, especially among battleships and cruisers, you could have 4 fires set on your battleship without fire prevention. So 1 on the bow, stern, and 2 on the superstructure. Fire prevention, in addition to reducing the chance of catching fire by -10%, it eliminates the ability of 2 fires on your superstructure and only 1. And a lot of the HE spammers, they're focusing your superstructure. So that means when you take fire prevention, you're going to be ticking for less damage because, let's be realistic, like you're going to get set on fire a lot. So you're improving your survivability that only having 1 fire tick for damage versus 2 tick for damage on the Montana, on the superstructure. So, needed. After this skill, it could be up to you what you'd want to do. 14 points. You could make your next 4 points concealment, reducing your ship's tactability range by -10%, which gives us 14 by air or sea and 10.5 by air. This will change soon if Wargaming sticks to with one of the recent development blogs, as I talked I think earlier in this video or in the Friday highlight video, I forget now. And then or you could take the next 4 points of your 14-point commander and emergency repair expert, giving you additional 10% on your DCP, additional 10% on your repair party consumable action time, and instead of having 4 heals, you get 5 heals with this skill. So if you're saying, Flimsy, I'm at 14 points, what should I do? In my opinion, I would say just go for concealment expert first, get yourself down to 14, and then with your 18 point, then go for emergency repair expert. Then after 18, then I would personally go for basics of survivability. Your modular restoration time, if they get incapacitated, will be reduced by -15%. So I'm pretty sure that relates to like main battery guns or like your maybe steering gears engine. But it puts out the fires and floods faster. I think I said it earlier, but with the build I'm running, including the combat signals, I think our full fire duration should be 34 point something seconds, and then full flooding duration is like 21-23 seconds with this build. If you wanted to take these 3 points elsewhere, I could see improved repair party readiness having potential. Basically, as you take potential damage equal to 100% of your ship's base HP, you would have -0.8%. So your heals come off cooldown faster. So like as an example, 72, 71, 70, 69 seconds. Like in yesterday's video, because I just recorded it right after, we didn't take a ton of potential damage. We only took 900,000. So that would be, you know, almost, it would have helped, but it wouldn't have been massive. We never would have gotten the 6th heal, because you need to trigger 2 million potential damage with this skill to then get the additional heal, because it's a can be activated skill, right? Other debatable options here, you know, you could talk about dropping basics of survivability and pick up a defense and ASW expert. This is kind of becoming a more relevant two-pointer skill. Back in the day, we didn't have one of the skills that this skill now has, which is, I'm going to skip past the AA and the depth charge damage, but talk about the ship consumable preparation and reload time of -40%. So basically, whenever your AA is active from hybrid planes, carrier planes, spotter planes, fighter planes, airstrike planes, if I didn't already say that, anything that activates your AA guns, you get an instant -40% on your ship's consumable and preparation and reload time. This is like insanely good. So it helps those battleships like Montana that have a longer standard action time, or longer standard cooldown time, excuse me, on the heal, like the 80 seconds, to come down even faster. So that would be really relevant here, in addition that you're buffing your AA damage and your depth charge damage. So that's actually pretty good skill, honestly. Like, I would probably, if I wasn't running this pretty standard build here for Montana, I could consider easily giving up these 3 points and take 2 points, sync them here and on the AA defense and ASW expert. And then with that last 1 point skill, I probably would look at taking gun feeder. Yeah, I'd probably take gun feeder, so I could, if I did want to switch between my armor piercing and high explosive, like let's say I got AP loading and there's a DD or a submarine appears, I can switch to the high explosive. That's probably what I would do. So maybe this is a standard. This is the first recommendation. The second recommendation being drop basic survivability, take A defense and ASW expert with the gun feeder. Yeah, I would feel pretty solid about that. It's really close second in my mind. Third would probably be the improved repair party readiness and just swap out basics to survivability. Other than that, pretty comfortable with this build overall. But really, as much as A is activated in this game, like this would be easy possible sell. So let me actually just send him to reserve. And I will just throw this 3-pointer on for fun. And I'll just show you what that would look like. So watch the AA defense jump up. Yeah, so you go from 462 to 531, 1764 to 2029. And you also see how the A rating goes from 91 to 95. And then like that. That could be the second option here to be running. It makes me very tempted because we actually would have got use out of that in this last game because of the Essex. And your depth charge, let me pop that up. You now, instead of doing 4,900, you do 5,390. So you're more of a pain to submarines as well. Or this. Basically, that's how it looks like in this regard. But I'll throw our boy back on. And then I'll highlight those as well in the thumbnail of the video. So that being said, I hope you liked today's video. Give me if you have any questions in addition or want to share any other thoughts and opinions, drop them in the comments below. If you liked today's video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Until next time, take care.